All right, let's recommence and proceed forward. So now you really have some simple basics. You know who you are, you know who you aren't, and that's used primarily in a formal setting. We understand we have 4 doors to go through with every receptive, every commercial presentment, either orally, written, or otherwise. What do I mean otherwise? Somebody points and orders you over somewhere. Who are they? So, you got the 4 doors, you got some basics, and a few things like that. Let's deal with a few little issues. Earlier, a question is, what do we do with phone calls? Let's say CRE, IRS. Anybody calls the home. If all we have is our wife and children at home who aren't into this stuff, perhaps, how should they answer the phone? Just like they normally would. Hello? CRE here. Okay. CRA. See, it's all messed up. They think they're CRE one time, then they're CRA the next. What's the facts got to do with anything? Yeah. The CRA calls and says, what? What are they going to say?
Hello, is Dwight home?
No. He's at work right now. Can I take a message? This is CRA. Great. May I have your name and number? I'll have him give you a call. Is this Mrs. Dwight? She didn't know what to do. She's lost in the woods. Yes. Well, we've got some tax returns here. We got this and that. My husband handles all the business in this family. You need to talk to him. Well, did you sign something? You signed the 2008 tax return, blah, blah, blah. You better tell your wife. What are you doing answering questions of people on the phone? And if you want to stay safe, and this is a problem, we have spouses, we have friends, neighbors. What is their response going to be to this kind of stuff? Generally not favorable. They're going to think you're a nut. They're going to think you're a kook. They're going to think you're unpatriotic. And these are legitimate concerns of theirs. They're just humans. What are we going to do about it? Nothing you can. You're going to lose some friends. You're going to gain some friends. When I first came out of prison, some friends that had helped me, the ex-wife, etc., when I started using this stuff to get rid of supervised release and the rest of that, they were very upset and angry that I'd be risking going away from my kids again when I'm needed in their lives and blah, blah, blah.
I just asked when that was, Court.
My first out was May of 2007. Went out to a halfway house. I'm 30 days in the halfway house. I get released to a home in the neighborhood. I'm staying with a buddy. I end up crosswise with him. 60 days later, I end up back in the county jail there for 90 days to finish the halfway house time. As soon as I come out of that, they wanted me to sign that I'd report to San Diego. I was in Arizona. Want me to report to San Diego for parole or supervised release. I signed a thing saying I'll come to that. They then take me out and get me on the phone with them and verify that I signed it. Interesting. I show up in San Diego 3 or 4 days after I'm released from the county jail in Arizona. And I show up at the supervised release place, and she goes, "We weren't expecting you. Could you come back tomorrow?" I said, "Sure." They didn't expect me to report in. Because, normally I wouldn't have reported under the old patriot mentality. I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that, but I was understanding better and better. I'm entering into contracts, doing things. I actually recorded that and then got on the phone and agreed to be there. So, next day when I went there, the gal read me what's known as a judgment and commitment, which is supervised release terms and all these kinds of things. And I had 2 cases at that time. And remember, I told you that you can count on them to tell stories, lie, cheat, and steal. And she says, "Well, we want you to take, urine tests, So you got to call in here. We need you to sign this, and we need you to take psych. Go see the psych once a week, and we need you to sign this. And then this one-page thing for the psych thing said that I'll take whatever drugs the psych recommends, etc. I says, yeah, it's a contract. I said, why would I said I've never touched drugs in my life. Why would I want to start now? And well, that's the standard form, and I can't change it. I says, well, why would I can't see signing such a thing? She's turning, she's on the computer, spits out another one with the changes. Took the whole paragraph out. What the heck? Man, it's the coolest thing. Now I see it all the time with, these guys are on this kind of supervised release, this guy gets this. It's just, there's no rhyme and reason. It's whatever they negotiate. It's just the coolest thing you ever saw, but it was shocking to see they took a standard form I thought couldn't be changed and took a whole paragraph right out of her. And I signed by putting on there all rights and defenses reserved without prejudice. Or you could put above your name under protest. Let's get an exact meaning here. I like the way they do it in here. A payment made or an act done under compulsion, while the payer or actor asserts that he waives no rights by making the payment or by doing the act. So it's just a reservation of rights. And you can say it under protest or all rights and defenses reserved without prejudice. And put your name under it.
Do we use the word like by colon or
Nah.
not necessary?
Not necessary. So on a signature line, on something somebody's handing you and they say, here, sign right there, I'll stick up, you can put right above your name, under protest, comma, and then just sign your name. All right? Now, a lot of these things I might put actually, I sometimes will print the name, especially on a lot of government stuff, all capital letters, and I'll put by, and then I'll put Gordon, Leroy, Hall, comma, agent, or authorized representative. Gordon Hall by, Gordon Leroy Hall, agent. They say, why did you sign that way? What would you say to that?
Is there a problem with this?
Is that a problem? No, it's never a problem. Just want to know why you did. Is there a problem with it? I'm just curious why you signed that way. Is it a problem? Is it a problem to reserve my rights? So you get phone calls at your home. Your friends do. You're not going to be popular. Your wife's going to think you're not maybe endangering the family and everything else. It's going to be a tough one for some of you guys. May I suggest you direct her to Creditors and Commerce site and try and get some rules of the game, etc. It could actually come down to maybe threatening your marriage. Some of you. Not a good thing. So you want to try and be patient with them and explain, hey, just wasn't built for bondage, honey. Just refer them to me. Tell them to contact me. Let me give you my husband's number. If you don't want to be called at work, he'll be home. Can I have him call you? Would it be convenient if you call back this evening? My husband will be home. He handles all the business in this home, including the CRA reports, etc. Well, did you sign this, ma'am? I suggest you contact my husband. Well, I'm talking to you right now, and I need to know whether you signed this or not. Sign what? Well, the 208 what? The 208 what? You better teach her not to answer questions over the phone to a disembodied voice. Honey.
Dead corporation.
Well, it's not a dead corporation. They have a purpose, and the point of the matter is you don't. We talked about it. Brandon told you it. What is the purpose? If I combine these two words, what do I have? Asking. Whoever is asking is as king. What did we say as meant? Remember I told you? In the capacity of. Remember always, whenever I see as, I put in the capacity of. So in the capacity of king, whoever's asking questions is in the capacity of the king. Or queen, whichever you wish it to be. All right? A lot of people are not going to get this. You're going to lose friends, neighbors, and potentially family members. I got an older brother. He said, I don't want nothing to do with that stuff. I got an ex-wife who saw me be supervised release. I took care of a major matter for her husband. She saw me go to the DMV with my boy and come out without a license, without having to sign. And she still doesn't go for it. Doubting Thomas? Beyond that, she just wants no problems in her life. No problems? Under man, what are you guaranteed to get? Do you think the IRS, when they decide you owe taxes, they just make up wild numbers, add weird things to it? They can do that at will. You're their property if you want to do that. It's hard to imagine such a thing, but that's what it is. So what do you do with husbands and wives and friends? My friends don't like me. It's important that I prefer they like me, but if they don't, it's kind of funny. All the people I talk to this about that I know, I get essentially no recognition that there's anything other than I'm a nut. Strangers, God, they just think I walk on water. So it they don't think I walk on water, but they give credit to what I have to say, or more so. But a lot of people I know, they absolutely don't. I go meet big. I'm a real estate developer, and so I know some very large real estate, monetarily large real estate developers. A lot of successful people, Disney family, Marriott family people, and I say, hey, da 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 da. It's amazing to see. I see big ones say, you know something, Gordon? I got several of them go, I'm scared to death. I don't want nothing to do with it. I just want to pay my taxes and hope they leave me alone.
Yes.
No, it's worse. They just cower in the corner. Yes, they do acquiesce, but it's worse. I'm just going to cower in the corner and pray they don't come for me. What a miserable way to live one's life. In fear?
Yep.
That's an insult to your God. That's to presume you think your Father in heaven didn't provide for you a wonderful opportunity. What's the story about the talents? Go ahead and bury that one talent under the rock. He gave you talents. I have a choice whether I want to continue on with this stuff. Why should you? Do you have to worry about them coming after you? I look at it differently. In America, 1933, they did what's called an amendment to the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1933. They amended the Trading with the Enemy Act. To now include U.S. citizens. They consider in America a U.S. citizen an enemy of the state. Why? That's very harsh. Why? Because you're disloyal to your country. Can you give loyalty? Can you serve two masters? That's why God says it. Can you serve God and man both? But in this sense, with the state, can you serve the United States and your state, your country? No, not the Republic. So your state who formed the federal government for their protection has really irritated you for siding with the federal government, paying them taxes and kowtowing to them instead of supporting your state, your country. I was in prison with a guy who got 5 years for selling medical marijuana with a license that's in California. And he says, why am I in jail for 5 years? I had a license. I said, you have dual citizenship in America. He says, no, I don't. I says, really? Read this. He says, oh my gosh, I do. There's a famous California Supreme Court case called Tashiro versus Jordan. It's in cooperative federalism. And it says thus, that there is a citizenship of the United States and a citizenship of a state. And the privileges and immunities of one are not the same as the other, is well established by the decisions of the courts of this country. This is California Supreme Court. This country? Ex parte Frank Knowles, 1855, U.S. Supreme Court. By metaphysical refinement in examining the form of our government, it might be correctly said that there is no such thing as a United States citizen. Wow. How many cases do you have to read? How much logic do you have to bring into being? If you can get the faith up to understand you serve God or serve man, can't serve both, then all Christians shouldn't be filing or paying income taxes to the federal government or doing all sorts of things they're doing. Does that make them any less Christian? Not in my opinion. But it'd be nice if they understood their roles. And I'm not here to condemn anybody about it because I know what it is. It's a fearful thing. Don't be ashamed to be afraid when you start exercising this stuff. Hell, who wouldn't have a good respect for a 900-pound gorilla? Because where does a 900-pound gorilla sit? Anywhere he wants. You know? Yes, Edward.
So I have a question about the fear and, lie, cheat, and steal, because they're helping test whether we want to, which master we want to serve. But what about threatening? We talked about this a little bit last night about duress. I don't know if everyone was here.
Well, they threaten you. Are they? Yeah. I've had two instances. I went through one county jail, and I was practicing my stuff, and I said, they said name and number, and I said I won't be availing myself of your services, and pretty soon it gets into this dialogue, and the bottom line, I ask them on a threat, you either get your ass against the wall and get that uniform on and get a picture, we're going to tase you. And I said, are you threatening me? Oh, no. When I was going through another place, an Oklahoma transfer station, the same thing went on, same kind of dialogue, and I said, are you threatening me? And the guy got up on the desk and said, you motherfucking right, I'm threatening you. I says, by what authority? And he come out from behind the desk, roar up in my face, could you please step over here, sir? You have to have faith that God's got you. And you have to have faith that these guys do it right always. This government of the United States, this federal government, are beautiful. These people do their job. Their job's to test you.
So they will try to put you under a contract, under threat, if they could trick you into doing it.
Yeah, it's fair. It's the game. Remember, it's the game. You got to learn the rules. It's all fair in love and war. Now, it's not fair to grab you and kick you in the crotch and make you do it. Why would they stop and think? I'm at one county jail, and I got going through Joe Arpaio's jail. A lot of people say, oh, they're brutal, they're this, they'll beat you down, they'll do this, do that. I said, Joe Arpaio's a great guy. And I said, his people seem to be very well disciplined, in my opinion. I'm sitting in a cell waiting on them, and I got my hands on my lap, and I got about 8 or 10 of them. I think, and they got a taser with them, you better get those clothes on, or we're going to taser you and this and that. And I conditionally accept upon presentation of a bona fide claim and blah, blah, blah. Man, I thought for sure I was going to get tasered. Remember what a contract is. Contracts are express or implied. The express are manifest viva voce, that's by the voice, or by writing. The implied are shown by signs, or by silence, by signs, or by acts. Right? So, like when I was going through the one transfer station, that guy says, I'm threatening you, and he come roaring around. If I'd have went like this, isn't that a sign that I want to fight? So I said, oh man, I'm going to get whacked. So I just held real still. Didn't it? Just come. Could you please step over here, sir? God, Jekyll to, from Mr. Hyde to Jekyll in a nanosecond. Interesting. The other one said this, and they didn't think. I've never seen them when you do the right thing, and I've been in front of a lot of very tense situations with rapid response teams or the goon squads with the shields and the all buffed up, and they'll jack you up if you do the wrong things.
So just to clarify, you're saying if someone gets in your face and you go like this,
that's a sign you want to fight.
That is an action that you're accepting that's
a sign,
offer.
Isn't it? Isn't it a contract to fight?
Yeah.
In the prison system, if you get in a physical altercation fight, both guys get slammed, both guys get moved, both guys lose good times almost always. Guys saying, I didn't start it, he hit me first. What's fighting? Fighting is arguing. Fighting is explaining. Fighting is justifying. Fighting is reasoning. Believe it or not. You took my thing, I didn't take your thing, blah, blah. You were in the fight. Just because it finally broke into open hostilities, it got nothing to do with it. That's why people get arrested. Husbands and wives, you got to arrest somebody, take them both in, one of them in. Had a guy call me we got a big problem. The father and the daughter got arrested the other day. Domestic violence. The daughter's got a fat lip and the dad's got a bit ear. So apparently the daughter bit him and he whacked her. Police come and we got everybody telling stories and answering questions. Well, kind of Mr. and Mrs. Smith movie was kind of cool. Remember it? Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. They tear the whole house apart, gun it down. The neighbors finally call the cops. Pretty soon we got a couple of cops show up. The house is ripped and torn apart. They're in shards and torn up clothes and a little bit of blood. No, they go, yes, can I help you? Cops say, there's no problem here. I don't sit here and explain anything. Is what the movies are really cool. Kind of give you an example of how to do things. Few good men, you can't handle the truth. The truth of the matter is you're the enemy and you need to learn how to handle your business. So I'm sitting in this I'm sitting in the cell. And I got 10 or 12 of these officers, male and female, saying, you better get those clothes on or else or whatever, and I'm just conditionally accepting, keep my hand just relaxed and talking very calmly. Why do you think they'd feel they need to tackle you or anything like that? Unless it's to put a show. That's it. All they end up doing is they put clothes and they come in and they lifted my arms, took my clothes off, and left the clothes there. I just sat there naked, Are you going to sit there naked? I'm not putting their clothes on, taking the benefit. They finally come in and at least put the boxers on, and then they paraded me through the place and put me in a little cell. And the next morning, and I blew it, trying to get out of there, but I had an opportunity to get out and blew it. But all this is what gives me all of this, what's a sign, what's a contract, etc. But yeah, it's going to get real animating for some of you.
How did you blow it?
Remember, I didn't take any benefit at that time. They tried to take a picture and grab the hand and put it up to take fingerprints. They say, bring you up to a fingerprint. Give me your hand. I conditionally accept. Don't you go silent on them. They finally grabbed the hand and put it up. I'm not going to fight him. Do not openly resist. Passive resistance is a different deal. And they took the prints and that. Next day they come by. I've got 4 gals outside the cell, and the gal, one of them's talking to me. She goes, we need to take your fingerprints to release you. Oh, I'm going to get out? No, I'm going to get leased again. That's what she's saying. Release.
Oh.
So, not discharge. I countered and said, why do I need to give you my private property to discharge me? It's counteroffer. Not release. We're back and forth and back and forth. She turns to the other girl. She goes, he's pushing me. I'm not pushing him. So they all leave. couple hours later, in comes the goon squad. Got their guns, all armed up. Intimidating group, believe it. They're very serious people. And it's, if you're on the wrong side of their attitude, it's not a good thing. This guy this big sergeant opens the door, walks right in and says, "Can I talk to you?" They're usually outside, "Get the fuck down there, get on now or else, He just opens the door, walks in and says, "I'm laying on the bunk, leaving the mattress, food in they gave the night before, just all piled up at the front of the cell. I didn't touch any of that stuff."
On. That's it.
He says, "May I talk to you?" "Oh, yes." I get up. He says, "Sergeant Irby." And I go, "Gordon Hall." Old habits. Oh, he got me. He says, "You don't belong in here." And all sorts of stuff. And then he got me to accept a couple more little benefits before we got out, and they put me in the hole at the other county jail until my 60 days was up. God, it was beautiful.
Can I ask a question about that? So let's say there's an officer or an attorney, and I held out my hand to him. Is that any different?
Well,
Yeah, than him holding his hand.
International Bible Standard Dictionary on the Internet defines striking hands or shaking hands as the ceremony used technically as an agreement to be surety for another. And I know that Proverbs 11:15 says, "He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it."
Which is which? The person who...
Doesn't matter. You making an agreement? What agreement are you making? You better know what you're making. If he says you don't belong here, does it mean you belong there? Well, I agree with you. I don't belong here. Are you here to escort me safely from the premises without any further malversation?
Can you extend your hand as authorized?
Nah, that handshaking worked real well because down the road I ended up in front. I ended up going on a revocation hearing because after a while I did all my paperwork, did as far as I could do, did the private side. Now we've got to get public ratification or confirmation. How are you going to get that? You got to go into court and face the judge and get tested and all that. And this is where it really gets tough because you get panicked and stressed and how do you enter the bar and all sorts of nuances like that make the difference. And so, or granting jurisdiction, or making, i.e., what's known as a general appearance as opposed to a special appearance, which is a neat little definition in here. Under the word appearance in these Black's dictionaries, we have a nice... You can get into what's... An appearance may be either general or special. The former, that means general, is a simple and unqualified or unrestricted submission to the jurisdiction of the court. A general appearance is an unrestricted submission to the jurisdiction of the court. The latter, which is a special appearance, a submission to the jurisdiction for some specific purpose only, not for all the purposes of the suit. I'm here today as Gordon Hall intervener. That's a special appearance, folks.
Without saying it.
Without qualifying it. I could say I'm here by special appearance as Gordon Hall intervener for the purpose if I want to get all technical. But
For the show.
No, I wouldn't do it for the show. For the show, I'd want to be as colorable as I could. I'm here today as Gordon Hall intervener for the purpose of helping the party settle all claims or charges. Let me take it to an extreme. I'm here today by special appearance, not general appearance, as Gordon Hall intervener, attorney in fact on the private side, not a general attorney, not a this, not a that, all this rhetoric. You know what, aren't you confident? Don't you understand? I'm here as Gordon Hall intervener. That sums it up. A lot of the patriots think more is better. In reality, less is more. A lot of my filings for certain things are really kind of, I like them because they stretch sometimes to 3 lines. but generally like 2 lines or something. I love when they're just really short.
Is it okay to have this stuff written down in front of you and read it off?
Yes, it is.
Because I'm not going to be able to just...
Sure it is.
That's what
Until you get comfortable with it.
You
Please
can,
read off scripts.
you can have your notes. Sure, notes. Everybody has notes.
I'm
It's
here today.
it's perfectly successful. Why don't you practice that one a bunch? You get it. I'm here today as
Well,
Gordon
especially
Hall,
for your
intervener.
first couple of times as you build your confidence, right?
Well, you'll get that. You need to show the judge at least know a little bit. When I first time in on the revocation here, I'm going, I'm here as Gordon. Man, I'm actually reading everything. Got 11 pages of that stuff. I'm trying to get this right. Been memorizing, doing, and I'm choking. Serious choke.
Yeah.
You know, I was able to hold my mud, but it wasn't fun.
No, but that's...
But the 5th hearing, I slipped. So,
The 5th
yeah,
time?
5th time I slipped.
Yeah.
We were trying something new, so. You have some with you? Do you have a abatement of proceedings or anything like that with you?
I have all those.
Okay. I think I got some here. So.
Like my buddy was telling me, he's learned more in
What do you
ticket
need?
court. We're losing.
What's that?
I need abatement of proceedings.
Oh, I don't think I have that.
Caption set.
I didn't get much.
This is fine.
Just
Here's what I call a caption set. All right. Your name's in the upper left corner. The name of the court. You know, it's United States of America plaintiff versus Sue Taylor defendant. This is the case number, and this is what it is: order to show cause, or see, it's just a short one. This is a caption set. All right. And you can get some of these from. It's not a long document, but it just tells you what court it's in. It's your deal. It's this. It's what the court gives you when they sued you anyway. There's your caption set and a thing to work off of. All right. It's not a real long deal. Just a little bit. And in this caption set, there's something in the body. You'll see some of these filings by attorneys. They're 10, 20, 30, 40 pages with points and authorities and case after case and this and statement of facts and all that. I just come in and order to show cause. Comes now, this is the gal that got out of jail. I got out of jail. We went, did our administrative side, the rest of that, and nothing's going on, and she's stressed. I said, just relax. We'll put in something on next week. And we put in this little document, this lengthy 2.5 liner. Comes now, Janice Sue Taylor on order to show cause why defendant's contempt of court is not purged and defendant is not entitled to discharge together with defendant's personal property now or forthwith. We went into the hearing, and 7 minutes later, she walked out. Nice. There's not points in authority and this and that. Just had a little question. My show cause for the warden was kind of not somewhat similar. Show cause why he ought to be arrested and removed from office for threatening.
She must think you walk on water.
She's pretty thrilled. Being 27 months in jail on an indeterminate sentence, not getting out. From the day I started with her, the time I got her out was 5 weeks. But she had to learn to quit acting like a dumbass patriot.
How did you get your help? Somebody.
Her boyfriend hired me. He called me up and he says, I heard you could maybe get my girl out of jail. I said, tell me the circumstances. I says, I think I could do that one. Don't know, but I believe I could. If she'll listen to me and do exactly what I tell her, and you're going to have to do all the filings. I'll lay them out for you. You're going to have to run them down, do this, do that, etc. He says, okay. I said, pay me and we'll get started. I'm not going to guarantee any results, but I feel upbeat that this is one I could do based on all of what I understand. And we went ahead and did it. Now, I was on the phone with her some days like 3, 4, 5 times a day for like a half an hour with these silly questions. She just was very tough to get trained because she's a patriot and just can't change from some of the old patriot mentality. But they don't have a right. Yes.
Did she wind up in jail because of being a patriot initially?
Yeah, with some of that stuff, I don't have to give you this, you did that. She was in contempt of court over the IRS matters, etc. So I had to bring harmony with her and her brother, the IRS. The last document the IRS filed was that she hadn't purged her contempt, she didn't cooperate, she didn't do this, and therefore should remain in jail. So she gave up all the records that didn't exist anymore. She'd come in every quarter or every 60 days and have a hearing, and she said, how can I give you records that I don't have? They were destroyed. Said, then go back in jail till you get them. That's a hell of a quandary.
Yeah.
Not a pleasant way to go through life. 27 months in, and she wasn't getting out. She's going to be there for life.
What was the first thing you did then when you took the case?
Terminated any attorneys and put in a forgive me letter for her previous behavior, etc. and said, tell us what we need to do to help. How can we help settle this matter? We had a hearing set the next day. For about 8 or so days later, of which the IRS then met with her, and I had to get her buffed up on. I said, because the IRS kept saying, you haven't provided these letters, Mrs. Taylor. You haven't provided records to the bank. Well, how can I? Not my problem. We need this information. I don't remember the banks I had. She had all sorts of offshore accounts, this and that. I said, we want all these records. She says, I don't have them. Well, you're staying in. I gave her a new mantra. They would say, you didn't help, you didn't give us any of these records. And your mantra, dear Sue Taylor, before I squeeze your scrawny little neck, is to tell them, how can I help now? What do sovereigns do? They work to solve other people's problems. I don't care that I didn't give this. I don't care if the records are this or nothing. Tell me how I can help now. You be an IRS agent. What are you going to counter on? Mr. Hall, you haven't given us any of these records. Where are they? How can I help now? Come back with something, somebody. We've asked you, huh?
Make some up, to the best of your knowledge.
Tell me how I can do that from here. Help me help you. How can I make some up for you?
Now and you can help before.
That's a little argument. Just tell me how I can help you now. That was her mantra. How can I help you now? And they come back and say, we asked you for that and you didn't give us this. Tell me how I can help you now. It's so... Think about when you're disciplining a child. Huh?
How can I help you from in here?
That's an argument.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's a little softer. Go a little softer. Tell me how I can help you now. We need you to get these records. Tell me how I can do it from here and I'll do it. Help me help you. Just tell me how to do it from here, okay?
And what was the response?
And they just keep saying, well, you didn't this, and you didn't that, and you didn't this. And she kept going, how can I help now?
So what you're doing is you're turning them into the argumentative party.
Remember I told you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can I prove anything? Well, this is where it got to. This is a good one to talk about. So, Sue Taylor and I were going forward in this, and the IRS is saying she isn't cooperating, she isn't doing this, she isn't giving any of these records. We've asked her over and over, Judge. Sue just says, tell me how I can help now.
To the judge.
To the judge, everybody. She had a hard time with that one. I said, you change from that, I'll squeeze you to death when I get you out. I says, you just ask how you can help now. Be a sovereign. Don't say I don't have them. John Stewart, they know each other. John Stewart's on the phone talking about Gordon. She has a good case. The building they were in, the IRS that sees that by law, that makes them responsible under Arizona, or federal code. I says, you know something? I'm about ready to bust you in the mouth, John. You're just so dumb. How can you be this dumb? I told you the facts are on the moon. What part of this don't you get? You want to argue law? She's in contempt, but they took the records. They destroyed them, whatever. I says, y'all just don't get it. Just go to peace. Stop fighting and arguing. They want records that don't exist. She's in contempt for not providing records she can't get. They want her to name accounts. She names up. I said, don't tell me you don't know some accounts. So cut that bull crap out. If you know any of them, but they'll use it against me. I said, I don't care. I can defeat any indictment they bring. I want you out. Do you understand? Shut up. Do what I told you to do. Shut up. Had to call her some names a few times, get nasty with her. God, it was rough. I do that to some of the clients. I don't really care. It's just business. Stupid bitch, you listen to me. Ah! Because I wanted her out. It's so easy to get her out. It was such a lay-down deal. Just be of help. She did it. She walks out with a caveat that we have to have a hearing with the IRS, a deposition. She says, why can't I take the fifth? I says, how many times, dear Sue, have we talked about what the fifth is? It's fraud. You can't do it. It's door 3. You can't do it. I said, you know what? Yes, you can. Never mind. Take the fifth. She says, well, won't that cause me problems? I says, yeah, but it's okay. Do it. Let's just quit this trying to make you do something. You want to take the fifth? Take it. She says, tell me what to do. I said, good. Okay, so when you go there, they're going to try and claim that that's all income, these bank accounts and stuff. But it's interesting, when she was still in, she'd given them a bank, this World Bank in the Bahamas or whatever. And they said, you haven't given us any letter to that to get the records from there. And so I made sure as soon as that was in one of the things, I said, I told her husband, her boyfriend, Ron, get that letter into the bank right now and give a copy to the court and blah, 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 blah. And it was interesting because when they put in their final deal through, we went through this process, the administrative proceeding on the private side, they said she hadn't done this, she hadn't provided this World Bank letter, she hadn't done this, that, or the other thing. We subsequently, of course, when they said that, put it in, they backdated their stuff so that when it was said, it wasn't at that time, which was true. And it was interesting. The judge is at the hearing, she's going, well, the IRS is this and that and the other thing. And actually, Sue gets up and she goes, I'm here as Sue Taylor, intervener. And judge just went right on talking. Everybody was quiet, ignored it. He said, don't you get in there and talk about this, that, and then just say I'm here today as Sue Taylor, intervener, and just then answer the judge's questions from then on. Do not take this persona on of a sovereign. After that, be a debtor. She said, I thought you said be that. I said, listen, I just want you out. This is how you get out in this particular case. All right? So she did that. And then pretty soon the judge is saying to the IRS, well, did she supply the letter to the World Bank? And the judge has got one right in front of her. Well, yes. Okay. Well, I find that the contempt's been purged, and Mrs. Taylor, we're going to want you to take a deposition with the IRS. Is that all right? She goes, yes. And she says, you'll show up at the date in 10 days? She goes, yes, I will. And she says, what do I do, Gordon? She said, we're going to show up at the date. That's exactly what we're going to do. We made an agreement. I said, they're going to try and get you to admit income. I said, do you know what income is in the IRS code talk? Income is defined as profit, not gross dollars you brought in. I said, is your labor exchanged? Is that a profit or is that a barter? She goes, well, it's not profit. I said, is it a barter? I said, every time they say the word income, just say, they say, did you make $50,000 income this year? Say, yes, I bartered my labor that year for $50,000. And they kept going, what do you mean barter? She goes, well, that's what I did. I bartered my labor. I exchanged my labor for those Federal Reserve notes. And they kept trying to get her to admit to income. I doubt she'll ever get indicted. But if she does, it's not hard to make go away. Because you have to learn how to talk. In that case, we're in answering questions. When she went in, I'm here today as Sue Taylor, intervener. They didn't make a big issue of it. They just went right along with the deposition. She had to answer a ton of the questions. I said, it's okay if you answer them. Answer them truthfully. She said, they're going to ask if I gave my daughter a car. If I gave my daughter that house. I said, did you? She goes, yes. I said, then tell them yes. You think they don't got the records that you did it? Of course they do. It's okay. You can't give away what you want? Well, they might indict the partners. They might indict my daughter. I said, that's their problem. My problem is get you out of jail and be truthful. And those people need to learn some of the stuff. I said, they're not after those people, so don't worry about it. In all likelihood, they're never going to bother them. And that's true. I said, quit worrying about that unless you want to stay in jail the rest of your life. Because they will keep you there. That's a fact. And if I were them, I'd keep you there too. Because you're this nasty little patriot woman who won't be in harmony. And if you are a man, I see this nasty little man who won't be in harmony with your brother. You can't do that. Are you sovereign, Sue? Yes. Then you do what? You work to solve others' problems. You're not here to try and get yourself out of jail. We are here to help the IRS solve their accounting issues. And that's what we're to provide them whatever information. Now show some help. I said it's Sue Taylor that's done all the crime, not you. And whatever they bring, we'll just discharge. Don't worry. Well, I said, I'm just telling you. You want out, do what I tell you to do. And she's out. And she came over for some briefing on how to get ready for the depot. More of this arguing. But when it comes time to perform, she does fine on the performance. You just almost can't stop the polemics. Arguing, disputation. Because she's of the old thing. You have to adopt that if you're under God, and God was standing right here with you, and these are His children, what would He expect you to say and do? That's how you should conduct yourself. You know He wouldn't approve of foul language or arguing or being difficult. He says, I'll give you everything. So love your brother. Remember the first commandment, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, might, mind, and strength. And second's like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. I love myself, so I'm going to help my neighbor get along. I'm not going to fight with myself anymore. I'm tired of being my own worst enemy. I've seen the enemy, and it's me. My ignorance has been killing me over these years. And I'm tired of it happening. I want to be under God. I want to be in harmony with my brother. And man, this government is off the hook how they treat you once you do. I'm on their list, you can bet. I'm on the list the next time they decide to blow some trade centers down or something, you can bet. With my little GPS I'm carrying around with me, they're going to make sure that this sovereign isn't in that building, an Oklahoma building or something else. A lot of people contend the U.S. government helped take that building down. I'm not going to say they did, not say they didn't. But if they did, I can certainly understand why they do it. 3,000 people need to sacrifice for the collective. Do you think they're going to be able to allow it to put all those airport controls in and everything in a free country with a bunch of crazy slaves that think that they got rights? It's said thusly, and I don't know if I think I've given it to you. Theodore Roosevelt said it in 1907 at the exposition, the Jamestown opening exposition. We of this, and think how apropos it is for today. This will be in Canada or anywhere in the world. We of this mighty Western Republic have to grapple with the dangers that spring from popular self-government tried on a scale incomparably vaster than ever before in the history of mankind, and from an abounding material prosperity greater also than anything which the world has hitherto seen. As regards the first set of dangers, it behooves us to remember that men can never escape being governed. Either they must govern themselves or submit to being governed by others. If from lawlessness or fickleness, from folly or self-indulgence, they refuse to govern themselves, then most assuredly, in the end, they will have to be governed from the outside. They can prevent the need of government from without only by showing they possess the power of government from within. A sovereign cannot make excuses for his failures. A sovereign must accept the responsibility for the exercise of power that inheres in him. And whereas is true in our republic, the people are sovereign, then the people must show a sober understanding and a sane and steadfast purpose if they are to preserve that orderly liberty upon which, as a foundation, every republic must rest. Govern yourself, or it will be done for you. Welcome to the game. Welcome to the game. You do it, or it will be done for you, and you will not like it. You think those 3,000 people that sacrificed for the collective in the Trade Center have any comprehension of what they were doing? Feeding the collective. You're part of the democracy. Remember the Oklahoma Murrah building? No FBI guys in there. None of their people in there were there. Of course not. They took care of their own. What was the deal in Texas? I forgot. Waco. It's just cannon fodder. Social control is best managed through fear. And if you had to run 300 plus million bodies, what form of government would you put in? It's the most perfect government on the planet, this government in America. A federal government, state government, all the checks and balances in place, and a republic and a democracy provided for both groups. Not Republican Party and Democratic Party, and nothing to do with it. A republic. I'm here in the republic. Some people are here in the democracy still. Ignorance and freedom cannot coexist. You cannot be both ignorant and free. A true education is required. 1900 book called The True Citizen, given to junior high school students, has a little chapter on education. It says, the true education embraces the symmetrical development of mind, body, and heart. Cultivate the physical only and you have an athlete or a savage. The moral only and you have an enthusiast or a maniac. The intellectual only and you have a diseased oddity. It may be a monster. It is only by wisely training all of them together that the complete man may be found. The complete man. Another word for perfect is complete or whole. God said, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven is. You've been commanded to be complete and whole. You can't do that if you're unconscious. If you don't know who you are, you don't know who you aren't, you don't know where you live, and you don't know your country. And you don't know the rules to this game of life. You will serve one or the other. Well, this thing about freedom, all you are is free to choose. Choose ye this day whom ye will serve. Well, you're going to serve one of them. And you either govern yourself or it will be done for you. That's their game. A lot of people say, well, that's bull. Really? There's a real neat saying. Rights and duties are correlative. Correlative. The extent of one is measured by the scope of the other. You have rights to the extent that you do your duties. When you don't do your duties, you don't have any rights. That's my child. Well, when you've been abusing that child or doing things wrong or keeping them out of, whatever, you no longer have a right to that child. You had a duty first. Rights and duties are correlative. We have governments that are very, very fine. James Allen, there's a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen.
Everybody's gotten it.
It's a little short 27-pager, but even just in the first 5 pages, so deep. The aphorism, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, not only embraces the whole of a man's being, but is so comprehensive as to reach out to every condition and circumstance of his life. A man is literally what he thinks, his character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. Every thought seed sown or allowed to fall into the mind and take root there produces its own, blossoming sooner or later into act. Ooh. He's so deep and so on it. Think about some of that stuff. Man, these quotes, just even in the first 5 pages. Every man is where he is by the law of his being. By the what of his being?
Contract.
The contract of his being. The thoughts which he has built into his character have brought him there. And in the arrangement of his life, there is no element of chance, but all is the result of a law, or what?
Contract.
Which cannot err. This is just as true of those who feel out of harmony with their surroundings as of those who are contented with them. This guy, 1850, Tony Robbins, Earl Nightingale, Vincent Norman Peale, they all credit him with their PMA stuff. I could see why. 27 pages. This stuff is so deep. It's a once-a-week read. That's your moral side with the Bible and that. You need no other any further moral compass. On the intelligence side, what do you spend your time studying and reading? Cooperative federalism. I never tire of that document. I love that document, reading the court cases of it. That there is a citizenship of the United States and a citizenship of a state. And Congress. It is clear. Cohen's versus Virginia. It is clear. Oh, I love the definition of clear. Yeah, you gotta, when you go look up little things that we use clear. Am I clear? Let's see what clear means. Free from clouds or mist, bright, light. Free from cloudiness, muddiness, not faint or blurred, perceiving acutely, keen or logical. Woo. Free from confusion or ambiguity, not obscure, easily understood. Obvious, unmistakable. So when Congress says it is clear that Congress, or that Congress as a legislative body exercises 2 species of legislative power. The one limited as to its objects, the other an absolute exclusive jurisdiction over the District of Columbia. The Patriot II Act, all this crap that's passed, that's for the District of Columbia. And its objects. What are its objects? U.S. citizens. I'm not one of those, God forbid. And a few dockyards and a few things around America, but very little. That federal government has very little jurisdiction, except over D.C. and its objects.
Territories.
And it has it over its territories. But it has duties, right? It can't exercise authority over those territories without doing its duty to those territories. Because rights and duties are the same. They're correlative, not the same. One is measured, the extent of one is measured by the scope of the other. These are beautiful rules in law. It's the game. That's what's so neat about all this stuff. Here's, between this and the Bible, King James Version, you're going to get all your moral compass you want. The true education embraces the symmetrical development of mind, body, and heart. Get on an exercise regimen so you feel good, think clear, do all of that. Intellectually, or the mind. God, this stuff is so beautiful. I love reading the dictionary. I encourage you. You need it, as a man thinketh. You need a good Webster's, 3rd, 4th college with the synonyms I like, and a Black's, 4th, 5th, or 6th, and maybe an 8th. I use an 8th rarely, but usually 4th, 5th, and 6th. 8th has a few modern definitions that don't exist back. These come out about every 20 years with some alterations. But definitions in law never change. Never. Or if they do, it takes, like, just to change one word takes hundreds of years. So this isn't like, law's not ambiguous. It's a very specific language. They don't use a lot of the old terms anymore. They use new terms, but they're still the same. Those terms are the same. I got a set of Bouvier's 1870s I love to read from. They kind of explain things differently. So every time where I go, I get different dictionaries. One of the most critical things you're going to find as you start getting remedy. The private side was one side of your game. Going to court, you got the private administrative side, like Sue Taylor did. Then it's going to come the public side. When I was trying to get out of prison, I had done my administrative remedy, had a test on the private side. Then the judge said, we're going to check the merits of the case. There's the game right there from my point of view. The merit. Merit is quality, deserving, reward. Now, I got that definition out of a little paper back in that last little stay. Deserving reward. And then, deserve is defined as, and my favorite, have by conduct a claim to. That's magical to me. Have by conduct, have by conduct a claim to. Remember I said it was all about claims, didn't I? So when Sue Taylor went to court and the judge says a bunch of stuff, well, you didn't provide this, Miss Taylor, you didn't provide that, Miss Taylor, she goes, how can I help now? Ira says, and she didn't do this, she didn't do that. She goes, how can I help now? Well, we want you to get these records. Tell me how to do it from here, I'll get them. And instead we said, we've written all the... Can we do any more than the letters we've written? And when I first put in her stuff, I said, we're ready to da-da-da-da, sign any letters, boom, boom. Man, we had a hearing the next day. Scheduled for like 8 days out. There is that magic word I told you, claim. Latches talks about claim. Themis, holding that scale, weighing opposing claims. A lien, a claim on the property of another as security for the payment of a just debt. In merits, claim. Latches, inexcusable delay in enforcing a claim. The word forgive, to give up all claim to punish. It's all claims, ladies and gentlemen. That's the master key to the game. Claims. You go into a court, do you have a claim? We talked about Tom Short, remember? He went into court. Where was his claim? He never presented it. He didn't show his contract that him and the ex had. He didn't bring his claim up. He went in to say, this is bull, we got an agreement. Judge's going, I can't hear a damn thing he's saying. He had his chance. Come on in and let me decide how this is going to go. And he says, okay. And then he comes in and wants to whine and revile. James Allen will tell you, a man only begins to be a man when he ceases to whine and revile and commences to search for the hidden justice which regulates his life. What does it mean to revile? I love this word. To speak to or about, I believe, I like the way they said it. It's a little bit... to use abusive or contemptuous language in speaking to or about. Call bad names, to use abusive language. Use abusive or contemptuous language. Rev scammers. That's a contemptuous term. Where do you get off? Thank God in heaven for this beautiful government. And Canada's got a beautiful one too. Robert Bernard shows you can go around and open, do all just about whatever you want. As long as you're not trespassing on another person. Are you going to get tested? Yeah, they got to know who you are. They got to make sure you want to stay private. They need to get to know you a little. Is it going to keep them from testing you in the future? Not at all. My comment to Sue is, who cares if they indict you? Never going to indict you. They might indict Sue Taylor. Don't you know how to handle her business or its business? You're the captain of the good ship Sue Taylor, the good ship Juanita Chung. What are you doing? Quit piling that doggone vessel up on the rocks and hit other ships. Get that thing out of port and start sailing the seas of commerce. Oh, I get rid of my Social Security number. I don't have one. I sure wouldn't get rid of Gordon's. Dang, he might need it for something. Wants to rent a car, anything else that makes his life easy. I get people calling me, I want to get out of the system. I said, well, then how are you going to get around it? Well, I got this, I got that. Well, have fun. Good luck. You can do it. You can opt out of the system. Well, what are you, nuts? Gave your cake and eat it too. Brandon's a kid. He's got himself one of those U.S. national ID cards and a passport. So what are you doing with him? He says, I know who I am. He does. He can carry that around all he wants. I don't care if they arrest him with anonymous. It's still not him. They got to get him to admit it. I don't care if it's in his pocket. What's it got to do with anything? Facts are on the moon.